Good afternoon, everybody. Eso Vernon here for one of my fireside chats. Too hot outside for fire during the day, and the evening is too buggy. The bugs seem to think I'm an all-you-can-eat buffet, and the fire attracts them. So, I'm just going to sit here and talk from my computer. So, I was asked how to keep or how to involve teens who are moving off to academy, college. The specific question was, are they allowed to still even be a member of the club? So the short answer is yes, they are still allowed to be a member of the club. Your club, you can sign them up at the beginning of the year, just like always. But if they're heading off to school, you're going to have it understood from the beginning of the year that they're going to have an excused absence for 90% of the year, straight up. Which, if you're keeping track of your points, remember excused absence, that means they don't get docked points, by the way. But they're on excused absence. They're at school, they're away, just the same as if their parents called them in sick or on family vacation, right? And then when they're not out of town, you just make certain they know what kind of events are coming up that they can be a part of. So, a lot of our academies and colleges, they'll have home weekends and stuff, and they'll come back for a week, a long weekend, maybe a week here or there. A little different than kids in school locally, which don't have like home leave because they go home every day. But those kids, when you hear they're coming back in town, invite them to whatever is going on. You got a social going on that Saturday night, and they're going to be back in town. Invite them. You can do it. They're coming back for spring break, and they're coming in on the 8th, and you're going camping on the 9th, invite them. Just go, hey, we're heading out, we're going camping down wherever, and we'd really love to have you. Bring them along. A lot of these older kids, they're going to be, they may be part of your TLT program, or they are aged out of that. Maybe they're just, they're 19 or 20, they're doing college. You can't use them as full-time staff, but hey, suck them back in. Go, hey, we're going, we're doing that camping trip. Yeah, but we'd love to have you. You still got that whatever they have. You can compliment on their fire building or their hiking skills or whatever, right? You just want them back in. They need to feel wanted, needed. It really helps them when they're off at school and life is doing what life does, that, back home, they're missed. Just when every time they come back to your church for a weekend, if there's an activity going, they know they're 110% welcome to come. If you see them, you're just going to have an arm around their shoulder like, hey, you're back. How long are you going to be here? Here, we're going ice skating. You coming? Just, boom. They know it's, they know that they are in. And it means a lot to our young people to have churches that are very involved in keeping them in. And as a club, they worry about the paperwork and stuff. Just have them sign up as a club member, or have them sign up as staff, and don't worry about the fact that they're not going to be there for most of 9 months. Just that's your understanding. They're that 20-year-old is going to be at college, but when they're in town, they'll help out when they can and not worry about it. If they're at academy age and they're off, there actually can be some benefits to them, because you can go, hey, your academy doing community service? Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Let's check that off your card. You did some community service. let's see, your group, you're supposed to be learning to help Ray, a part of worship, right? Okay, oh yeah, we have to help lead worship. We have rotation. Oh, perfect. We're going to check that off your card. There's a whole lot of stuff you can just start checking off, because what they're going to do normally at Academy, right? Because a lot of the requirements on the cards, as we know, are to help them grow into a well-balanced Christian adult, right? That they have hobbies, they have interests, they have a love of Christ, they have self-discipline, they have a will to check things out, right? An adventurous attitude. They're not just going to want to sit at home and do nothing, right? They want to learn things and do things and go witness, do some evangelism. They have, hopefully they've developed a well-rounded character of all the things that make a good young Christian adult, right? And with the curriculum coming up, and then of course TLT enhances that at the end and towards leadership skills. We're not just a well-rounded adult, we're a well-rounded adult leader, and it moves them into the master guide, right? You come out of TLT, you should be almost done with master guide, right? Or done. A lot of kids, they're finishing both at the same time. And at Academy, they have a lot of the same goals, actually. They're not using the tool of club ministries. We use the tool of club ministries, which is a tool of scouting, right? They're using a different tool. They're using a boarding academy. They're using their education tool, but they have similar goals, right? They want a well-adjusted adult, and so they're going to do a lot of the same things to get that well-rounded adult Christian. They're going to expose them to community service. They're going to expose them to mission trips. They're going to try to get them to be involved in clubs, not clubs like Pathfinder clubs, but like chess club or volleyball club or something, right? They're going to involve them in team activities, music, worship, crafts and stuff, art. They're going to do from a different way, using a different tool, try to achieve a lot of the same stuff you're trying to achieve, actually. And because there's a lot of overlap there, just like the kids, if they do it in school here, right? You got a kid here, and they're in junior high or high school, right? And they do woodworking in shop class, right? If they meet the requirements, boom, woodworking honor. If you're off at Academy and they do woodworking in the shop, they should keep track of that and bring it back to you. Like, hey, yeah, I was at Rio when we were doing this shop thing, and I did woodworking, and I did all this cool stuff. Check it out. Look at the honor. Look at the requirements. Like, yeah, there it is. Done. And just treat it the same as if they were in school here, but they're just in school over there. You just don't see them as often. But all that stuff, you would count it locally. If they did it in school, that if their school went out and did 10 hours of community service on the side of a highway, community service done, right? If their school's teaching worship skills and stuff and how to lead out and stuff, especially for some of the TLTs. For some of the TLTs, the skills they should be learning and working on at their club, they'd also be working with at the Academy. So if they're on the worship leading track or the communication one or the finance one, they are most likely an equivalent where they could work on at their Academy, and they could talk to the Academy and say, hey, I'm a TLT. I'm working on my whichever track, and I need to get some experience working with this, and I'm not at my home club, but I want to finish my master TLT by the time I graduate, and I want to have my master guide. Can you help me? Most of our deans at our schools are master guides, straight up. A lot of them were in Pathfinders. A lot of them would love to help you out. So if you talk to the kids, like, hey, talk to them, see what they can do for you, you will find that there's a whole lot they can do. They probably, the one would be the hardest to do would be teaching honors. That one might be a little harder to do, but I think most of the rest probably would have a fair chance of getting done. And then, of course, you have your summer when they're back. They can work with your club to work on those duties with your club over the summer activities to fulfill those requirements if they need to still. Or, sometimes they can work with the conference to fill activities. Like when they're helping us out at fair and camporee and some of the big activities, which they may want to come back from school just to visit for those activities if they happen during the school year. Camporee is usually after the school year, but leadership convention, the ones on paperwork activity, and most conferences earn a lot of it while they're still at the convention even. So those activities, you find creative ways to find for them to help out and get their stuff. Talk to your area leadership. They might be able to come up with some more creative ideas to help them work their way through their stuff. But the big thing is, when the youth are off at camp, yes, they can still be part of your club. I'm sorry, not camp. I said camp, didn't I? When they're part of academy, when they're at academy, yes, they still can be part of the club. You just understand that they're not going to be leading a class or teaching a regular honor. But there's nothing that says that every staff member has to be involved 89% of the time. All right, it's a choice for you and your club. You bring them in. You're like, hey, we want you, and we know you're only going to be here for these 2 days. But we love you so much, and we want you to be part of our group so much that we'll just take those 2 days. And if we can get a third from you, let us know, right? But our young people, they really do appreciate it when the adults are bringing them in, involving them, keeping them into the in of what's going on in the club. I mean, they can even maybe be able to pop in some staff meetings by Zoom or something. I know some of our clubs only do staff meetings on Zoom or Skype, or I guess Skype's dead, but WhatsApp, Genie, Blue Gene, whatever they call it. But it doesn't matter. But bringing them in, right? You can bring them in and go, hey, yeah, we're, if they don't have homework or something they're supposed to be doing, they bring them in and see if they can come in and still contribute to the club and to the leadership of the club. And they might be helping you plan a camp out for several months, and then when time for the camp out happens, maybe school's just ended and they come back and off you guys go, and you have their advantage of helping you on the camp out, right? And a lot of our young people have, they have the energy, right? We want them. So the big thing is just as leaders to invite them. Just keep inviting. Pastor Trace likes to say we love on them. We just love on them. We just always grabbing them. We're, hey, where you been? How you been? We're heading out off this way. You coming with us, right? We just want to love on them nonstop. They should never feel like they came home and there was nothing, right? They should feel they came home and it's like they never left. Just like, hey, we're off to the fishing hole. You coming, Joe? It should be that attitude, So, coming back to church should be like coming back to the old neighborhood a bit, right? In your neighborhood, if you've been gone for a bit and you pull in and your neighbors see you coming out of the car with your bags and they're all waving, hey, how was school? How's this? Hey, me and the guys, we're going down over here, or we're going to whatever. They automatically just want to bring you back in, right? You get in and your family's all there to welcome you. The church should be the same way. It should feel like the old neighborhood. It should feel like just coming back to family, and you're just right in immediately. But the church does have to make an effort to pull them in. You got to recognize when they're coming back, bring them in. If you got to do a little bit of paperwork to make everything proper, take a moment, get the paperwork done. Like, hey, yeah, you're coming, right? Yeah, okay. Let's quickly sign your form up. We didn't do it at the beginning of the year before you left. So let's Here, let me print one. We'll sign it. Done 2 seconds. Boom, boom, boom. Gone. Right? Is your background check still good? Yeah, you did one last year before you left. Okay, we're not going to worry about that. It's good for 2 years, 3 years, depending on what conference you're in. Art and UC people in our conference, it's 2 years. Okay? So know your conference rules. But yeah, just boom, done. And off you go. Keep them involved. It doesn't hurt to send them some emails while they're at school, and let them know what's going on in the club. Keep them on the club calendar list. Your monthly newsletters, make certain they're getting the monthly newsletter. Definitely, right? They need to know what's going on, what's coming up. Personalize their email a little bit. Don't robo-mail it to them. I know you robo-mail your club email to everybody in the church, right, for your newsletter. But try, put a little thing on there. We miss you. Wish you were here. We went camping last month, and you'd be happy to know it was a disaster without you. We really needed your fire building skills. We were cold that night. Just whatever, you can make them feel like, hey, without them, it's just not as good, right? Hey, bonfire, sing along, without your baritone, it just wasn't the same, right? Whatever you can compliment them on and let them know that they were missed, and when they're back, they're needed. And it means a lot to the young people, but yeah, the answer to the question is, yeah, keep them involved. Just bring them along. Nothing against the rules about that. You just gotta watch your paperwork a bit. In the old days we didn't worry about that, but nowadays, paperwork. You gotta make sure the background check and make sure they're a member of the club so that they're covered under the insurance of the club. But other than that, love on them, like Pastor Tracy said. Just love on them. Just hold them close to your club, and when they come back, they'll want to come back. And yeah, so club leaders, have fun keeping them involved, and keep the questions coming, and I'll talk to you at my next video.